topics for us all this morning. Here we go. So, Martin, can you just quickly confirm that you can hear me and that you can see my screen?
Absolutely loud and clear both, yes.
Lovely, thank you. So this morning, my name's Rebecca Dalton, and I'm the Apprenticeship Recruitment Manager at South Thames College Group. And this comprises of, here we go. So South Thames College, so the group. So we merged in August of 2017, and we're made up of the 4 colleges across the boroughs. So we've got Carshalton College in Sutton, Kingston College obviously in Kingston, South Thames College in Wandsworth, and then Merton College in Merton as well. So we do cover a nice large proportion of the London area, and we were also probably one of the very last institutions to be Ofsteded before COVID hit in February of 2020, and where we got an overall rating of good, and then also our apprenticeship provision was also rated good, which is very good for an FE college. It's very hard for such a large institution with, as you can imagine, very spread out. We've got lots of different sites, but it's one whole institution that's reviewed. So you can see it's quite a big task for Ofsted, and we were very pleased to get that result. So here today we're talking about apprenticeships and what is an apprenticeship. So I'm going to give you an overview of the apprenticeship programme, how it can work, and then how you can potentially tap into this with your Kickstart employees, or with any other employees, but then another new recruit, or with an existing member of staff. So an apprenticeship is training, it's classroom learning with 1 day a week off the job. So that's 1 day a week, which is equivalent is 20%, which is equivalent to 1 day a week, taking a 5-day week, where the apprentice leaves their formal workplace to attend learning. As a college group, the majority of our learning, we have a handful of courses that are done remotely, but the majority of our learning is that they come into the college site, to one of the sites, and they're learning in a classroom environment. Apprenticeships are available from level 2, which is the equivalent to GCSE level, all the way through to master's degree. I'll show you a link to where you can find all the different courses that are available, but there's all the way through. You can follow through an apprenticeship. So we do have a lot of learners that come to us and they'll start on a level 2 or level 3 course with us, and then they'll progress on through and they will end up doing their degree or their master's degree courses either with ourselves. We do run a few, but also we have relationships with Kingston University to study there as well. So depending on the level, it can take anything from a year, 366 days. It's a day, 1 year and 1 day is the minimum duration of any apprenticeship, through to 4 years to complete. Each apprenticeship will have a minimum duration. It's a standard that's been set by industry to say it takes, I don't know, as an example, an electrician is 42 months. It takes 42 months for an electrician to learn this course. And that's a minimum duration for it, or for each course. So it just depends on what they're studying and what level it is. Apprenticeships are funded through the government, as well as the company and the apprenticeship levy. So depending on the size of your organisation, depends on how the funding works, but I will explain that. So the benefits of recruiting apprentices, like I said, there's a lot of courses to choose from. So there's currently nearly 650. Now this number is increasing because I was doing this presentation, and last time I delivered a very similar presentation, it was 500 and something. So, and that was only sort of 6 months ago. So the courses are coming through continuously. There's new courses there for delivery. So it is worth just keeping your eye out for things that are going on. Obviously, they're filling any skills gaps. If you've got a member of staff that needs to learn a particular skill, this is a great way to do it. You're creating opportunities, developing new talent. It could be developing existing staff, you could be developing new staff, your Kickstarter, etc., and giving them the new skills. And like I said, upskilling and retraining. And then obviously you can apply for the government incentives, and I will go through what's available in the government incentives and how they work. And here is the link. So I will send these slides out, but here is the link to the Institute of Apprenticeships, which is where you can find the list of all of the courses that are available. It's quite a useful searching tool because you can put a keyword search in and then it'll bring up all the courses that might be relevant to that keyword search, and then you can see what's available. And then from there you can also find institutions, you can also find colleges and private training providers which will deliver that course for you. So it feeds all through to make it quite user friendly. So as an employer, what do you have to do? So first and foremost, the apprentice is employed by your organisation, and they have to have a contract of employment with your company for the role that they're doing. The apprentice is paid a salary. At the moment, the minimum salary for an apprentice is £4.30 an hour, and that is the minimum. We do recommend as a college that employers look to pay the minimum for their age group. As an example, I think the minimum wage for a 16-year-old is £4.65 an hour. So as you can see, it is slightly less for an apprentice, and that's in their first year of their apprenticeship. They can be paid the minimum wage for an apprentice at £4.30. As soon as they got 19 and they go into their second year of their apprenticeship, then they do have to be paid the minimum wage for their age group. So it does go up slightly for a slightly more mature apprentice at 19. Your job as the employer is to make sure that the apprentice is actually doing a real job. They are there to learn throughout the apprenticeship, and you'll see if you look on the Institute of Apprenticeships for any of the what we call the course standards. Every single course is broken down into three main areas, which is the skills, the knowledge and the behaviours. So throughout their course, throughout their time at college and throughout their time at work, they'll be constantly developing their skills to do the job. They're developing the knowledge and understanding the knowledge that's required to do that work and that job role, and also the behaviours that are required, what behaviours are required for that job role. And they all interlink. So it's making sure that they have access to do that job. If you're going to have a receptionist, they need to be able to have access to answer the telephone. They need to have access to meet and greet visitors. So it's just a thinking through about the job role and they're doing, and making sure it ties in with the apprenticeship that they're enrolled on. Allowing the apprentice to attend their off-the-job training. Now, like I said before, as a college, we run the apprenticeship in-house, so the students come to us to learn. Some private training providers come out to you as an employer, or it's all done remotely, or it's independent study. Whichever way, in whichever format it is, the apprentice must be allowed to attend that off-the-job element, which is the 20%, and it needs to be, or it's audited, that 20%. The funding, because it's all government funded, as you can well imagine, it's scrutinised, and those hours, we have to make sure that we can provide the hours to show that the apprentice has been away from their job role for 20% of the time to study and learn their job, to learn and to work towards the qualification they're doing. And then also there's regular reviews. The reviews and the timeline of the reviews is very much set by the college, the employer and the apprentice, because some employers will have done this before and they're old hats at running apprenticeship apprentices, and so they don't need to worry too much. And then also you'll find other employers need to have reassurance that they're doing everything right, and that's absolutely fine, and that's exactly what the college is here for, is to make sure that you have those review meetings regularly, so the apprentice is kept up to date with their off-the-job training, the work they're doing in the workplace is complementing that, and it's all going together nicely, so that within their duration of their apprenticeship they're going to be able to learn everything and work towards their endpoint assessment at the end. So in regards to funding, like I've mentioned before, so large organisations, so any organisation that has a payroll bill of more than £3 million, they will pay 0.5% of that into what they call the levy pot, and that is there for large organisations to spend on their apprenticeship training. If you're a small organisation and you have a less than £3 million levy pot, then less than £3 million in terms of your salary bill, then you will pay 5% of the apprenticeship cost, and the remaining 95% is funded by the government. So the government pay 95%, and the companies that are non-levy pay 5%. And the example that I've got here is a really clear one. So business administrator, it's an 18-month programme. So that is the sort of minimum duration that the government have sort of recommended for the time it's going to take, and that's £5,000. So if you are a levy-paying organisation, then £5,000 would come out of your levy. Or if you are a non-levy company, then you would pay 5% of that, which is £250 for the full 18-month course. So it's quite cost effective. It's not a huge amount of money. And then if you're a small company and you've got less than 50 members of staff and you recruit an apprentice who is either under the age of 18 or is 19 to 24 with an EHCP, which is an educational healthcare plan, so if they've got additional learning needs, then you will get the full amount. The £5,000 would be paid for by the government. So it's completely up to, it just depends on the size of the company, on how the funding works, but it's quite clear. And again, we can talk through that in more detail when we get to it with each case. So there are incentives available, and they have got quite strict timelines to them. So the current incentive is available for anyone who is employed between the 1st of October and the 31st of January. So if their employment start date is within that time period, and they then are enrolled on an apprenticeship between the 1st of October and the 31st of March, so there's a slight late bit of time to find the right course for them, then you are able to claim the £3,000. That is open to any company of any size and of any age of apprentice. There's no restrictions on that. In addition to that, if you have an apprentice who is 16 to 18 or under 25 with an EHCP, the educational healthcare plan, or if they've been in care of the local authority at any point, then there's an additional £1,000, but there's no time restraints on that one. So that happens all the time for anybody. So that one's available to you to claim for. With the, in government employment, the incentives, either of the incentives can be paid, can be used for anything. They're there as the organisation. The £3,000 incentive needs to be claimed through your apprenticeship service account, and we can help set that up, and the payments are paid out in 2 equal instalments. The first one comes out after 90 days of the apprenticeship, and the second one comes out on 365 days, so after a year of the apprenticeship comes out to you, and they're paid directly to the organisation. So when the account's set up, you put in all the bank details, and then the payments come out automatically. And the idea is that if your apprentice, hopefully they stay with you for the whole duration and nothing happens, but after 90 days, if they're still there, then you'll get half the money. And then the second, at the end of the 365 days, if they're not there, then obviously you don't get the second instalment, but the first instalment is still yours to keep. You don't have to ever pay that back. If you get the money, it means that the apprentice is still enrolled and you get that money, and that's there for you. With the £1,000 grant, the college process that for you. It's still paid out in the same format, the 2 equal instalments at 90 days and then 365 days. However, the college process it. So we organise it all gets processed at our end, but we have to wait for the money to come into us, and then we make the payment out to you. So normally takes about an extra 30 days for that process to go through, because obviously you can imagine we have quite a lot of them to process. And we process them every month because they're coming through all the time. We have to wait for the money to come in, clear in our accounts, and then we can then send the money back out to you. So it's normally a little bit later, but the money does still come out to you. So as a college, how do we support our employers? We work with the employer to make sure that you know exactly what you need to do in terms of the development and the opportunity that you're providing to your apprentice, and making sure that training the training that we're delivering is succinct with the job role, what they're doing, and it all holds itself together. If you're looking to recruit a new employee, then we can help with that as well. It's a completely free service, and we can advertise, shortlist for you and then arrange for you to have interviews with anyone that's of interest to you. So we can support with that element too. We'll go through all the sign-up paperwork with you because there is quite a few bits that we need to do because it is a government-funded scheme that we need to make sure that everything is correct. And we'll go through all the paperwork with you and make sure that that's all done, and it's all done right early on at the very beginning, so there's nothing comes no tricky bits at the end or anything like that. So we work through with that with you. And then again, with the updates, we keep you up to date with all of everything of your apprentice. One thing I didn't mention is that the apprentice is paid for all of their hours. So they're paid for their college hours and their work hours. So on their college days, when they're due in college, they are your employees. So obviously we want to feed back to you all the great stuff that they're doing when they're in college. But if unfortunately there are any instances that we have to report back with you, attendance, punctuality, attitude, anything like that, they're your employees. So we will tell you how they're behaving within the classroom and how they're behaving at college. So you will be fully up to date on how they're doing. Hopefully we just feed back how excellent stuff to you and how fantastic they are at college and what a great asset to the class they are. But there are going to be times that they might be late, but we would let you know because it's for you to pick up on with your own work policies on lateness or non-attendance, on how that your own HR processes and how that gets followed up. And then we're on hand the whole time. So you'll have contacts with the curriculum staff who will be able to help you with all the curriculum issues and any questions that you have surrounding the course that they're doing and the delivery on the course. But you will also have access to myself and my team with the business development team in regards to sort of developing new courses or bringing on new apprentices. So we're there, and you'll have various contacts to help you throughout the time that you have an apprentice. So Ofsted, like I said at the beginning, so this is a little brief overview of what Ofsted said about our apprentices. But one of the things to highlight here is the student and pastoral support. So they are students, so they have access to all our pastoral support, our student support, and who can help them with all manner of issues, whether it's housing issues or family issues, all of those things. That their students and services are there to help them and support them, and then we can also help them with their progression and their next steps. So it might be coming to the end of their apprenticeship and they're not sure whether or not there's going to be an opportunity for them within your organisation, and so we start looking at other alternatives for them and other courses that they might want to progress onto. It may be that they now decided that they do want to go to university, so we can look at those options for them and help them with their UCAS applications. There's lots of available to them within the college environment. And then one of our lovely employers, Hannah, she had this to say about us, which is also really lovely. And we work very closely with them, and they've had a number of business and administration apprentices from us. What's really nice about the practice there, so it's a doctor's surgery, but they are a training practice, so they are very familiar with having trainees on site, and it's quite nice. Not only do they have trainees in the medical professions, but they also have trainees within their support team as well. So it's really lovely. So in terms of the courses and the apprenticeship that we have across STCG, so we have there's a huge array. So accountancy and business and motor vehicle, carpentry. I think somebody did put on the emails a question about carpentry. So we do have carpentry there. Catering and hospitality is a really big one at the moment. Civil engineering and general engineering. We also have plumbing, so plumbing and heating, but we also do the standalone gas as well, which we have a start date for January for. We do HR at level 3 and at level 5. Also the chartered managers in there, so that's a level 6, so that's a degree level apprenticeship that we run. Electrical, the lab technicians, the mammography. We run the mammography in partnership with St George's in Tooting, and that's one of our online courses actually. So we have mammographers from all up and down the country that are training in a very essential part of the NHS. Paralegal, that's a level 3 course, and then we do team leader and then the supervisor as well, so that's level 3. But that's just a brief overview. So within catering and hospitality, that breaks down to a couple of other areas. Within accounting and business, there's a couple of other areas, and then also IT breaks down as well. So just gives you an overview of what we do run, and what you want to look at. But also we have our workforce development short courses. So these are short courses that we run predominantly out of Merton, and we've got a site in Tooting, and they vary in length, but they're weeks long. So I think some of them are 6 weeks, some of them are 8 weeks, and some are 12 weeks long. And they're quite useful to be aware of, and they're free. I think as long as they're over, the participant is over 19, these are free courses. And if you want any more information about these courses, then we can also put you in touch with the workforce development team to talk through those different areas that we've got there. I think digital skills, and what I didn't realise that we ran this morning was the data protection and security. I thought that's quite an interesting course and could be quite useful for a lot of people to be brushed up on how that all works. And then also mental health first aid is another good one just to be aware of. So next steps, and where do we go from here? So if you do think that an apprenticeship could be right for your organisation, then brilliant, that's fantastic. Let's have a conversation on how that can work and how we can support. And if you're not sure, again, that's absolutely fine. We completely understand. But we can have a look at other training courses that the college might be able to support with, or if you just have a few reservations, we can talk through those. I can put you in touch with either you and I can talk, or we can talk with one of my colleagues, and we can have a look at different options that are available. Martin, do we have any questions in the chat? Has anyone got any questions? If you want to put them in the chat, then I can start answering those.
None as of yet that I can see. I think you've shared a lot of information, which is a lot of food for thought for the people here.
It can be a bit of an information overload. I never know quite how in depth to go with these sort of bits of information. But I can. What I will do is share the slides with everyone, and I have recorded this. We are recording. What I might do is turn the recording off actually. So what I can do.
I guess. Sorry, Becca. I was going to say.
No,
I guess. In many ways, obviously, every employer is unique, and every sort of job role they have is quite unique. So a lot of the apprenticeships you obviously run would be very relevant to some of the employers, Kickstart employers certainly, I know, but I guess there might be a few that have got more like web design roles and things like that. Or what would they be able to still, I mean, if not through you necessarily, would you be able to guide them on where they could?
Yeah, we definitely can. With the web design, there are courses, definitely there's apprenticeships available in that area, and I can help look at other providers, absolutely. Amanda's just popped something in the chat saying what's the minimum number of hours, and that's a great question, Amanda, thank you. So an apprentice needs to work 30 hours a week is the minimum duration of an apprenticeship. If the apprentice is working, so we have instances that they are working a 25-hour contract, they might be in a school, or they're working slightly less than that. It's possible and it works. The minimum duration gets extended of the apprenticeship. So if they are supposed to, so if you take the 18-month course of the business admin, so they're meant to be working 18 months for 30 hours a week. If they're working 25 hours, then we're short 5 hours a week. So those 5 hours a week get totted up, and the minimum duration of that 18 months gets extended to cover those missing hours. Does that make sense? It does to me, because I know what I'm talking about, but I don't know if I'm conveying it correctly. Does that make sense, Amanda? Oh, she's typing. Of course you can't talk. Yes, great. Okay. Yeah, so there is a level of flexibility. Obviously, you wouldn't want someone working 10 hours a week, because obviously they'll be an apprentice forever and it would take too long for them to complete. Yes, the 30 hours includes their college time. Yes, 30 hours including in college is the minimum duration. So typically someone will be working a 35 or 37.5-hour week, working a sort of Monday to Friday 9 to 5 job. But and they have 1 day away from college in that time. But we do have other apprentices that work slightly shorter hours, so they're working 30 hours including college. But remember, they are paid for all of their hours. So that is one thing to remember when sort of budgeting and working it out. The cost factor is all of their hours are paid for.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, I think you've explained everything thoroughly. I mean, I think it's very much for the people that are certainly on this call. If they want any further information or to connect with you, I guess you could always drop your email address in the chat just for them to make contact, or they could come to me and I will share your details with them. But no, this has been very informative, and we will definitely run this session again with some more employers. And when you send me the slide deck, I will share that as well with people, and obviously your details. No, thank you for this, Rebecca. It's been very good. I mean, there's more time for more questions if people do. Ali's in.
Oh, here we go. How are we? Too hard on the kickstart, so income to the end of movement. No, so once the kickstart is its own setup. Once they become an apprentice, they are your employee, and the salary would be your responsibility as their employer. So you would need to look at what you wanted to pay them. And again, I can have that conversation individually as to what's competitive for the market, because do remember that the apprentices will come into class and they will talk and they will discuss their salaries with each other. As much as we say to them it's confidential information, they shouldn't. There'll always be one that will start off the conversation, and no one. It can become then a little bit awkward, because they'll say, if they suddenly realise they're the only one getting minimum wage. Yeah, there's no salary support, but there are some grants that are available at the start if you qualify. Remember, the training is predominantly all covered, depending on the age of the apprentice and the size of the organisation. The training is covered by the government. I will send you the information on the workforce development courses. Yes, absolutely. I'll get that over to you, Amanda. No problem. Yeah, I believe they're free to anyone over 19. But I'll clarify that the costings. But yeah, I think they are free. They're fully funded courses. Any more questions? Don't think so. I've put my email in the chat, so it's there for you if you need it. Obviously, Martin will share it as well, and Martin will send out. I'll send out the slides over everybody for Martin to share with everyone. And if you've got any questions, then please just get in touch. We're here, and we've got a number of courses. We've got a number of college start dates. That's the other thing to mention, is that the courses, a lot of our courses start all year round. We're not governed by an academic cycle with apprenticeships. They can start at any point in the year, and the majority of our courses have at least more than one start date. We have a lot of courses starting in January, sort of January, February time. We'll have start dates for them, and then we'll have possibly around sort of like the Easter spring break, around then we'll have another start date, and then again in September. So they do start throughout the year. Excellent. Okay, well, I'm going to end the recording and I will try and get that over to you.